In this video we're going to be looking at this. This is the Olympus 25mm f1.8 prime lens. Join me. Roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James, I'm Micro Four Thirds guy with you once again, and today I've got a little gem for you. This is the Olympus 25mm f1.8 prime, the equivalent of the Nifty 50 for Micro Four Thirds. Now, I don't know if you remember, about a year ago I did a review of the Lumix 25mm, which I've got somewhere around here. It's actually on the front of my M1 at the moment. This is the f1.7 lens, and I did a review of that. You'll find a link straight above to that one. But this is the Olympus equivalent. So let's have a look at this and see how it goes on, see what it's like as a lens, and see if I'd recommend it. Keep watching to find out. Now, if you're not a subscriber of this channel, please don't forget, hit the subscribe button below. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. It just puts it on your subscriptions line so you can see the videos early, and give me a big thumbs up, because that really does help YouTube to spread these videos further and wider to more and more people. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but there's also a link below to my Patreon channel. So if you want to be a patron of the channel, gives you a few extra benefits as well. There's a link below. Or if you want to leave me enough for a cup of coffee, there's a PayPal link below that in the details as well. Anyway, back to the video. The little f1.8 25mm lens. As I say, it's the Micro Four Thirds equivalent of the Nifty 50. And they're great, you know, they're really, it's one of those lenses. A 25mm for Micro Four Thirds is something I suggest that almost every Micro Four Thirds shooter should have in their camera arsenal. They're small, they're light, they're easy, and they give superb results. Now, this one's the f1.8. It's a really fast little lens and fairly inexpensive as well. Now, it's not as inexpensive as the Lumix. These currently are retailing new for about £290. The Lumix is about £150 in the UK. And it's similar sort of price, although I think they're comparative. These are somewhat closer in price in the States to the Lumix than over here. But very, very similar on that. And I'm going to do a video later date comparing the two together anyway. But today we're just concentrating on this one. So let's have a look at some of the specifications on it. Well, first of all, 25mm lens. It's the one which closest approximates what we see with our own eyes. Not just for the angle of view, which is about what it's... I'm going to keep on looking down my notes as per usual. Always make lots and lots of notes. But it's about a 47-degree view. And that's a similar sort of field of view that what humans have in front of them. Obviously we can see further because our eyes will move around, but it's a similar sort of field of view. But more importantly, it gives a similar sort of perspective towards depth and also towards any distortions that we see to what the human eye does. So it's a very, very natural sort of focal length to be compared against. And a full frame, this would be the equivalent of 50mm, hence the Nifty 50. Now on this one it's light, it's 136 grams, a little touch heavier than the Lumix, but so close it's not worth worrying about. f1.8, as I say, gives you wonderful ability to get a very, very shallow depth of field, or if you're not going for shallow depth of field, to be able to get some really good low light shots without having to bump the ISO up too much. And that's really important, because one of the big complaints about Micro Four Thirds, which I don't always hold with mind, is the poor low light performance. So if you can boost the amount of light coming in through the lens, you got better chances of getting some really good shots. The lenses themselves are on 9 elements, arranged in 7 groups, and two of them are spherical lenses as well. And again, it's one of these things we keep on saying, oh, it's got these lenses in these groups and how many it is. I think most photographers don't really care about that, but it's in amongst the specs anyway. Some pick up on it. But to be perfectly honest, what I'm interested in is the image quality. And I can tell you that the image quality on this really is knockout. It's pin sharp, it's really good contrast. There are some drawbacks to it, but it's a less than £300 lens, so you know, you get what you pay for, but you can actually get an awful lot more than you pay for on this lens. Important thing, if you are doing the sort of bokeh shots and you want those wonderful sort of bokeh balls in the background, it has a diaphragm, 7-piece diaphragm, which goes into a circular pattern as well, so you don't get any of those nasty edges and sharp edges as you're getting into those highlights in the background, the bokeh balls as we know them. The lens itself goes from f1.8, as I say, all the way to f22. So if you're going to be using it, it's a fabulous one if you're going to be using it on landscapes to really get those really wide depths of field in shot, and it's just an overall easy to carry lens. The lens construction, well, got to be careful on this. It's plastic, and when you say it's plastic, it always makes it sound cheap. It's not. It's a very, very good quality plastic. It's light, it's easy. I've had metal lenses, I've had plastic lenses. I used to look down on plastic lenses, now I don't. I find that these are quite often a lot more durable than the metal ones, and certainly will take an awful lot more the knocks and bangs that an average photographer will put them through. The focus ring is, unlike on the 17mm, which I'm shooting this on at the moment, it doesn't have the manual focus clutch. So if you're going to switch it to manual, you've got to do it on camera, and it's a never-ending ring focus, if you like. But it's smooth, it's easy, it's good. The lens itself is a 46mm filter ring on it, and again that's a fairly standard sort of size filter ring, very, very easy to get filters for, and the lens itself is just a nice piece of work. It's very, very well put together, very well manufactured, and just a joy to have. Looking at the back of the lens, again, metal mount on this, and I do like metal mounts. I don't have a downer on plastic mounts, and I've said this in previous videos as well. The plastic mounts do work very well, but what I do find, if you're one of these people who's changing lenses regularly, I do find that the plastic mount does tend to score a little bit more, and I've always got this little worry in case it causes a little bit of movement in there. I may be wrong, I may be right, but I do prefer a metal mount rather than a plastic mount if I can. But on a small lens with this weight and this size, it's really not going to cause you much in the way of problems. Now, dimensions wise, it's only 41mm by 56mm, so it's actually shorter than it is wide. And this is smaller than the equivalent for the Lumix. If I get the Lumix off and put them two side by side, you'll see that the Lumix is slightly chunkier, but there's not a great deal in it. It's a slightly chunkier, slightly higher lens. All this has got the lens cap on, so is that. So I'll take the lens caps off, and you can get a direct comparison of the two. There we are. Both about the 46mm filter ring, but as I say, the Lumix is a little bit chunkier. Build quality wise, as I say, the Olympus is superb. No better, no worse than the Lumix in my opinion. They both work very, very well. Now, focusing wise, this thing will focus down to just over 9 inches. What is it, 24 centimeters, 9.4 inches. So it really will get some nice close-up shots. You know, it's not a macro lens, but it's going to get you into some really close-ups. And I think I've got a photograph I'll put you up here where we're looking at the Lumix equivalent. So it gives you an idea how close you can get. And that's the minimum focusing distance. As I say, it's only 136 grams, and it's available in either black or silver. So if you got one of the silver bodies and want to go for the silver one, then you can. Used wise, on the used market in the UK at the moment, they're going up to about £190 for a really good one. It does come, unusually, my goodness, it does come with a lens hood, which is very, very unusual from Olympus. Unfortunately, they're a bit on the fragile side, so they're not the strongest ones, and to buy a new one's about £25 in the UK for a fairly flimsy piece of plastic. To be able to put the lens cap on as well, you have to remove a ring from the front. Now this one doesn't have the ring on at the moment, but it's a similar sort of idea to on the 45mm. Again, a tiny little ring which is so flimsy it breaks. So I would not worry, I wouldn't lose sleep over that. But it does come with a lens hood, so at least I've been listening a little bit. Now this lens has been out since 2014, so it's getting on the older side insofar as lenses for the Micro Four Thirds system, but don't let that put you off. There is nothing at all wrong with this lens. Insofar as picture quality, I think it's superb. There's very, very little fringing, very, very little chromatic aberration on the lens, or if it is, it's taken out inside the camera in the lens profile, so I'm not really noticing very much at all. There is a little bit of softness towards the outside edge, but again, it's nothing to write home about, but the centre is pin sharp, and even with the softness on the outside, for 99% of the photographs you're going to take, you're probably not even going to notice it. It's that small, but it is present, it is there. Now, one thing I did forget to say about the video when I was doing it before, when I sat down, is about stopping it down. Even fully opened at f1.8, you find it's still a very, very sharp lens and totally usable, where some lenses may get very, very soft. This one's still totally usable, a little bit softer around the edges. Even just knocking it up to about f2.5 or maybe up to f4, and you've got a really pin-sharp lens, and it really stays that way until you get to the higher f-stops, where you get a little bit of roll-off up towards a sort of f11, f16, say. But if you're shooting at anything around about the f4, absolutely perfect lens. I don't really notice any vignetting on the lens, and again that might have been taken out in the camera profile, but insofar as a user point of view, it's pretty constant across the whole board for its brightness from the centre to the outside edges. So would I buy this lens? Well, yeah, of course I would. I already have, in fact, because almost all the lenses that I review in these, I own. Would I buy this lens over the Lumix? Well, you'll have to see my Lumix Olympus comparison video, which will be coming out soon, to find that out. But as a camera lens itself, yes, I would. It's not the cheapest in its class, and there's, you know, there are sort of some issues with it on that insofar as things, which I'll come to in a second. So keep watching. But insofar as if you are an Olympus shooter and you want a really good, high quality lens, especially a first prime lens, absolutely superb. It is well worth buying. It is a superb piece of kit. It is well made, well manufactured, high quality and light. Keep it in your camera bag, well worth having. Now, I did say there's a bit of an issue on this, bit of a problem, and I'm going to refer to one of my YouTube colleagues, Rob Trek. Now, Rob did a video on this, and there's a link above to it. I hope you don't mind me mentioning you in this, Rob, but check out Rob's video on this, which is a comparison between the Olympus and the Lumix 25mm lenses. For photo work, the autofocus is absolutely superb on this, super quick. If you're an Olympus camera body owner, something like the OM1 here, or my AM1 Mark 1 or my AM1 Mark 2, then you'll find that the video performance, the video autofocus on this is absolutely superb. I find it works perfectly well on my Lumix cameras, but if you're going the opposite way around, the Lumix lens doesn't seem to work so well on taking video on the Olympus. So if you're an Olympus camera body user, get the Olympus 25mm f1.8, because if you're doing any video work and you want the autofocus, this thing really does fly in comparison to the Lumix. Now, the Lumix on the Lumix cameras works fine, and again, I'll cover that in the other video. But if you're an Olympus camera body owner, I would suggest getting the Olympus 25mm over the Lumix if you're going to do any video work whatsoever. But again, have a look at Rob Trek's video, because he gives a fantastic demonstration of the differences and really puts it into perspective. So, Olympus 25mm f1.8, go out, buy it, absolutely superb. As I say, used about for a light new one, about £190 from a good dealer or from an online dealer. I think it's good value for money. You can get them from about £130 in fairly well used condition, but there's nothing to really go wrong on these. They're just a solid lens, and the only thing you're going to be probably paying for is on the light new ones is not to have any scratches or bangs or anything else like that, because even the poorer ones tend to be pretty good. So until the next time, this is Brian James out at beautiful Torquay Tarn here in Cumbria, saying keep on taking your camera out, keep on enjoying your photography, and keep on having fun. Bye bye. See you next time.